So hi everybody and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 134, and in this video I want to talk about blueprint interfaces. It is more a coding part, and I think if you already watched the blueprint coding in Unreal Engine, then you probably know it already, but there are many starters who don't know it, for example, especially designers, because they don't care about coding so much, but blueprint interfaces are very handy even for designers, and the reason for that is they can reference objects, for example this actors here in this level with interfaces, and that will have a very nice effect in different ways. Less memory, they can activate many things at the same time with one command or with one function. And yeah, there are many things to discuss actually, and that's why there will be several videos about these interfaces where we discuss several parts. And the first, in this video, I want just to set up our interface so that we can use it and then later explain it. First of all, we go back to the Unreal Engine official page. Let's switch this one here to Unreal Engine 5. Perhaps, yes, this one here. And here you have then here these two sections. They explain it, how you create interface, how you call interfaces. And yeah, so we will go through this one as well. You see, the first to create an interface is very simple. And let's do this one here. And later we go here and implement also the interface, which is a little bit more a setup and a little bit more, needs a little bit more background knowledge, but also not that difficult. So read this both sides. I will link in the description. And let's get started to set up interface. It's very simple. So first of all, we go to our content drawer, we go to our game, we create a new folder here on top, new folder, and call it interface. I already created one, so I delete this one here and go to my folder interface here. I double click it, and here I am in my folder interface. Right click on it, and now we create our interface where we created. Here we go to blueprints. In blueprints, we have here options. We select here this option, which says blueprint interface, double click it, click it, and then call it BPI. It stands, this prefix stands for blueprint interface underscore, and let's call it start all. Let's start all, because an interface can not only start one thing, it can start many things. And I call just it start all, so I know it can start more things. So with that said, double click on it, we open it up, and what you see right now here is the interface editor. We have here a big screen which we can't select, we can't do anything. It is just a big screen where we can't do nothing. We can right click, it's just a display. What more importantly is not this big screen here. More important are here the side screen, which is when we click here on this one here, we have my blueprint which says functions, and we can add functions to this interface now, which means you create your first function. I call it just BPI blueprint interface start all. Or let's start all, or we get confused with the name of this blueprint interface. Let's call this function BP activate all. Not start all, activate all. And you see, after I renamed this function here, we can't edit it, but it is updated with this name. And we can set here a little bit more inputs and outputs. For example, you say I need inputs. Then you go down here to the inputs. Here we have a plus sign. You click it, and you see you can select here the input which you want, for example, the integer. And then you can set here the name, for example, yes, and speed or something like that. If you need this, I don't need it, but you see, after I did this and compiled this one here is updated. You see, we have here later when we use it as speed, but here in interface I can't use it. That's very important. Of course, you can make the same with the output here and call it here speed calculated or something like that. And then you would need this. But of course, perhaps you don't need inputs and outputs. In my case, I don't need, so I delete them, and I delete them with this cross here. And you see I compile now, and that's it. That was all about creating an interface. Of course, here are some other settings which you can check too. So with that said, you see we have already done this part, creating an interface. Important is here the symbol perhaps. And yeah, here was this functions. One more step perhaps in function. Of course, this is just one function. You can add here many functions, and it starts then all time from 0. You see when I go back to this function, this is here. When I create a new function and so on. You can create here in your interface many different kind of functions which you want used, but later more. But right now this is enough for us. Okay, we save this one here. We are finished with this section here. And oops, yes. They show here the inputs also and the outputs and so on. So I will stop this video here because I want that you read a little bit more here about interfaces. This one here perhaps. And later I will go through this one, but this is not our, this is only one goal, well, because we will see how we can use these interfaces in use cases, and this one is just set up an implementation of an interface. And I want to demonstrate later the use cases, which is more important for designers or for programmers who want to see how they can reduce memories, or yeah, there are many different kind of advantages which I want to show. But yeah, if you have any questions or any complaints like all time or suggestions, just write it in the comments. And with that said, this was part 1 for interfaces, and see you in the next video for part 2 where we go to implement it. And bye and good luck.